لبيتوا الندى وطاقتكم صارت للعالم صدى. أملنا فيكن كبير ما بينتهي مثل جيش لبنان عنوانه الفدا. الإبداع من ربنا تقدم هدية وتعب وشقى حالة يومية. انتو الفخر والعز والكرامة رمز شموخ أرزتنا اللبنانية. عم بيتحقق اليوم حلم أجدادنا، استعادة الجنسية مضيوا رؤسائنا. وجبنا نلاقيهم على آخر الطريق، إلنا حق التصويت ببلادنا. لا لبنان من دونكم، نحن لبنان. الشعب هو القرار أينما كان، هو بيرفع وبيسقط حكومة ببلاد الحرية، هيدي قيمة الإنسان. بعرف إنه العطاء بيجلب السعادة، ولو قد ما بعدنا نحن قراب من الماضي. ماضينا هو لبنان، جذورنا هي نحن، معليش إذا بالحاضر منقدم له زيادة. إن شاء الله بوجود رئيس جمهورية تتحسن أوضاعنا اللبنانية. ما بدنا نوصل لطريق مسدود، بدنا حلول اليوم تصير تطبيقية. عشتم وعاشا لبنان. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, thank you all for coming and joining us here today. We are pleased and honored to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for some time, as well as those of you who are new to our Lebanese diaspora energy. I would precisely like to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigrants, His Excellency Mr. Gibran Bassil, for all the efforts he creates to tighten the bond between the diaspora, building significant opportunities for the Lebanese worldwide and supporting Lebanon. Our sincere appreciation to the respectful Ambassador Johnny Ibrahim for all his hard work in making this event happen. You have all chosen to be here today because of our mutual passion for Lebanon. Your passions help us all come together as one, and the energy we create as one allows us to achieve our individual goals as well as group goals. We need you as much as you need us. And this is why we are so happy to have you join us here at LDE. It's my great honor to be able to participate in this Lebanese diaspora of hard workers, of people that excelled in every field you can imagine, in a diaspora who gathered a large community of Lebanese descent in the United States from all walks of life. And as I said once in my book, Arajih, he who denies his roots has no roots. We are proud of our heritage, and together we hope that the election of our new president, His Excellency of the Lebanese Republic, General Michel Aoun, and a new promised parliament, both will help the outcome and the solutions we will discover and observe today and tomorrow. Brothers and sisters, we succeeded in living together abroad, and we hope all the Lebanese can live together in one nation, under one roof, respecting others' beliefs and opinions for the sake of our beloved country, Lebanon. Talking about passion, our guest speaker has an immense passion for construction, investment, and last but not least, dancing. His story is one that spans the globe. His parents were born and raised in Lebanon. In 1915, they emigrated and settled in Ohio, which wasn't easy at all for a new immigrant family. He eventually found his talent by becoming a dance instructor at the Arthur Murray Dance Studio. He moved to Los Angeles and opened 2 of his own dance studios where he worked on projects such as 7 Brides for 7 Sisters, No Business Like Show Business, The Bell Telephone Hour, and many others. In 1961, he started his own company, Aladdin Developers, For the last 56 years, Aladdin Developers has been renowned for their quality instruction, effective management, and investment sustainability. Aladdin must be best known for their namesake hotel and casino in Las Vegas. Today, he will be talking about why he claimed his Lebanese nationality and what would make him invest in Lebanon. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Mr. Anthony Vincent Zanni.
Well, good evening to all of us. And for the first time in my life, I can say my fellow citizens. Quite an honor, quite an honor. Acknowledging how this happened in the latter terms of my life, I would defer to His Excellency Gibran Basil Batroun, and to my dear friend Sayyidina Abdullah Zaidan, and to the new ambassador, Johnny Ibrahim. They were sort of the architects and conclusions of why I'm standing here. I'm not really sure that I deserve it, but I am here. I look about all of you. I see very many cross sections, faces that I'm familiar with, and some I don't know at all. But I understand one commonality. It's our heritage. Let me take just a few moments. I'm one for brevity, and many of you have heard a lot of eloquent speeches today. I look at my life in the same vein that many immigrants who brought their toils and hardships and raised their families. So I'm not singular by any measure of the stick. Where I do feel singular is in trying to go forward. I had to look back. To make a forward step, we take sometimes two back. And that's to the angel of my life, my mother, my father Romanus, and how they got here. It's a short story, and a story that's nothing new. My friends have heard it before. They immigrated under the Ottoman purge 100 plus years ago, grabbed my mother and my Uncle John. In the night, they went over the Alps. I call it the Syrian Alps. Went down to Aqaba, got a freighter to Marseille and then to New York, and went through Ellis Island like millions of people. One beginning star in his life, because of his multiple languages, reading and writing, he found that many of the Lebanon and Syrians couldn't get through the immigration. So he started helping one at a time. It turned out that he had to work his way out of Ellis Island. The history books talk about many things, even Edmund Zanni, my cousin. But what they don't tell us is the toil and the determination of our nation. And we are a nation, one that has really prevailed. From Babylonia to the Phoenicians to our present day. And I ask myself, how does a country so small prevail and one of the last bastions of Christianity? Perseverance, entrepreneurial skills, and I think their beliefs. They believe in something more than themselves. However, that entrepreneurial skill reflects itself in every country that I've ever visited. Up comes a camel jockey, gracious, lovely, and successful by different measures of the stick. I've always prevailed in one thought. Success is not the size of the checkbook, but it's the size of your heart in giving. And I have found that the more I'm able to do that, the more I have great friends. And the bishop, and before him, Bishop John Shadid, God bless his soul, he was a disciplinarian, and he's my liberal angel. I wish to tell you one other thing about early life. coming into the Depression years, it wasn't difficult because we didn't know any other way. And many of the first, which I am, generation, and second and third, should draw back from those toils and those tormented years of very hard work. My mother came from opulence in Batron. Down there, she had a beautiful house on the ocean. Her summer home is a couple miles up towards Tula. And it's now, well, it was when I was there, an orphanage. Is it still an orphanage? It is. She came from that type of life, and with a lot of help, to toil in the barrios of Cincinnati, sewing buttons and cuffs. No complaints from that woman. And I really draw from that determination and that self-discipline and structure. That being said, I'm more than proud to be a Lebanese. And my children, my children will be passport-carrying Lebanese citizens. The other I wouldn't want. And their children. So far, we've got a small troops going, and thanks to the group, they will soon be on track. Now I'm supposed to give you a few words about the business acumen. By the way, I spent, well, he told me about a week ago to just talk about some topics. Honey, you take it. The best thing I can speak is from my heart. Why would the now generation invest in the Middle East, and especially in Lebanon, unless they're educated and told about the potentials and the values and how the banking system has prevailed through wars and invasions and chaos? The banking system has never failed. Unless they're told about the structure that now is existent that I've just learned about, and those potentials, they won't be activating themselves and looking in that direction. They're going to stay within the comb of the U.S. Our job, your job, is for your children and their wives and husbands to say to them not only that you're got the heritage to draw from, but here's what you can do. Every crisis that I've ever been involved with in my life, and I'm 86 years old, has always given an opportunity. You have to look for it. It won't be handed to you. And you must believe in yourself. Easily said, but structured. Everyone's given 3 feet of this heavenly earth. Just maintain your 3 feet and go to the next and to the next. If you are determined and you believe in yourself, you don't have to be a magician. You have to have the Heavenly Father guide you, in my estimation, whatever the denominations. We have some serious Armenians here and the Orthodox, just a great cross-section. All of us are one, and you've heard it many times. I will conclude by saying I am honored that I was given this gift, and I am pleased and very, very grateful to be from Lebanon. I will never forget the moments as of tonight. I hope that you people will not forget. And keep in mind, God is truly great, inshallah. Thank you.
Please make sure to stay with us tomorrow on the closing ceremony. That's a beloved request from our minister, His Excellency Gibran Bassil. We would love to see you there tomorrow. There are things in our roots we can't seem to forget. Our parents, our language, our culture, our memories, and the street we strolled on. We are here now. We have a job to show the world that we are able to show the world the beautiful and peaceful image about Lebanon that the media has distorted. A peaceful image could be a lovely voice, such a lovely voice. She's my fellow singer-songwriter. She's the first Lebanese Arab singer to have made it to the quarterfinals in The Voice Canada in 2015. Not only is she an artist, but she's a devoted music and voice teacher. Mrs. Cynthia manages to keep her activities and career on top of the game while pursuing her master's degree in music education. The multilingual singer and songwriter launched her new single, La La Land. Please join me in a round of applause for Mrs. Cynthia Baroud.
Last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. Ooh, yeah, yeah, at last. Skies above are blue. My heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at you, I found a dream that I could speak to, a dream that I can call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill that I have never known. Oh yeah, yeah, when you smiled, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in Vegas. So you are mine at last. Ooh, at last. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh my God. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Vegas. My name is Cynthia, and I'm so happy and honored to be here tonight. I've been wanting to come to the States, to LA. It's been 3 years, right? And I would like to thank the ambassador, Johnny Ibrahim, and the ambassador, Fadi Ziadeh, for inviting me and for letting me be part of this beautiful event and this beautiful gathering, and meeting all my friends from around the world, right? Because I see a lot of old friends that we used to meet up in Lebanon, and I haven't been in Lebanon for 3-4 years, and I see them here, and I'm so happy. And I chose the set list for tonight. I chose every song for every situation for all the Lebanese. It represents all the Lebanese, every Lebanese citizen. And you're going to discover by yourself. So thank you again. Thank you for having me. And I'm having a lot of fun. And hopefully next year, we'll see you in my hometown. I come from Montreal and Lebanese, of course. So have a great time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Eden makes it a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. So pretty in the sky are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Humanity is essential for us humans, but not on the expense of the homeland and not on the expense of the Lebanese people. A lot of those people lost their trust in their nation. With your help and with all your efforts, Minister Gibran Bassil, It's time to restore that trust. It's very important for all of us to know it's love what makes a country, not hate. It's acceptance what makes a country, not refusal and fanatism. Talking about love, this would be a love for healing. We will show you now a small TVC about the diaspora and Lebanon presented by Idal.
When Lebanese around the world think of Lebanon, this is generally what they visualize. But nostalgia isn't the only reason why Lebanese have always believed in home being where the heart is. With its multilingual and cosmopolitan lifestyle, Lebanon is a social and cultural haven. A country offering distinct incentives in everything from a highly skilled workforce to world-class healthcare and education. But it's so much more than that. Lebanon's economic openness, strong banking system, and low corporate tax rates make it the most liberal and hospitable MENA destination for business and investment. And its strategic location, openness to the international community, and non-interventionist stance towards private investments ensure easy access to regional and global markets. When you add the many cultural and social advantages, investing in Lebanon becomes a win-win situation. The best part? With the Investment Development Authority of Lebanon, the decision to invest becomes an even easier one. IDAL's primary mission is to facilitate investments by providing business support services and information and by offering fiscal and operational advantages. Today, all of IDAL's experience, know-how, and support can be at your disposal, helping you benefit from opportunities that make lucrative and business sense in a country that is rewarding in so many ways. Nostalgia might make you want to come back, but it's the promise of so much more that will ensure that you do. And with IDAL, that promise becomes a reality.
And now, we would love to welcome Mr. Murshid Shaheen to represent Dr. Nidal Aitani, since he's not feeling well tonight, to be with us. Please welcome Mr. Murshid Shaheen. El Shaheen. Ash Shaheen.
My name, Murshid Hashaheen, board member of IDAL. I represent the chairman of IDAL, Dr. Nabil Aitani, who couldn't attend for a medical reason. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you tonight to IDAL's get-together dinner. It's a great pleasure to be among you and to have the chance to meet and connect. I hope that soon enough we will welcome you again, but this time in your home country, Lebanon. Lebanon is a small but strong country that has exported the best talent and achievers to the world. This resilient piece of land who, despite many hardships, was and is still able to thrive and prosper due to the will of its people and the commitment of his diaspora. This diaspora, whose size is bigger than that of its own country, and whose socio-economic contribution was a key factor in the country's economic prosperity and stability throughout the year. I stand before you today, humbled and proud by your achievement, your passion, and your dedication to your homeland. Perhaps you have forgotten in your years of immigration the many advantages that your home country has to offer, other than the nostalgic sounds, smells, and the story of days gone by. We boast a talented workforce with a quality of education that is ranked 19th worldwide, a liberal business environment that is ranked fourth globally in terms of restrictions on capital flow, a dynamic economy with emerging knowledge-based sectors, a strong banking system that is ranked 23rd worldwide, and easy access to regional and the global market through economic openness and agility. The advantages are plenty, the opportunities are clear, and your energy and know-how is abundant. On this note, I cannot but thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs, spearheaded by His Excellency Mr. Gibran Bassil, the visionary and man of action, whose dedication and commitment to the Lebanese diaspora has opened the door for all of us through this LDE platform. Today, we are in Las Vegas, but before that, we were in Beirut, New York, São Paulo, and South Africa. All have three traits in common, and that is your passion, dedication, and success. We hope we will meet again in more cities, and that our effort will bear fruit through a national strategy and tangible result. Finally, I would like to wish you all an entertaining evening and hope that together, by joining effort, we can build a country that is as successful as is diaspora. Thank you.
We would like to invite His Excellency Minister Gibran Bassil to present the trophy for Mr. Murshid Shaheen, who's representing Dr. Nabil Itani. Ashi. Now? And since it's our beloved Anthony Vincent Zanne 85th birthday, let's all celebrate his birthday. And also we would like to invite me and Ambassador Johnny Ibrahim to the stage. And of course, Anthony Zanne. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vincent. Happy birthday to you. سنة حلوة يا جميل، سنة حلوة يا جميل، سنة حلوة يا حبيبي، سنة حلوة يا جميل. Please make sure to stay with us tomorrow on the closing ceremony at 12 noon. That's a request from our minister, His Excellency Gibran Bassil. We would love to see you there tomorrow at noon. Thank you. Some people learn comedy, and some are comedy. I think comedy exceeds tragedy. We all need comedy in some point in our lives, because laughter is the best medicine. He's a Lebanese-American stand-up comedian who's credited with establishing and pioneering the stand-up comedy scene throughout the Middle East, where he performs in English. He grew up in San Diego and then moved back with his family to Lebanon when he was 11 years old. He went on to break down barriers and unite people in a region where bombing on stage can have a completely different meaning. He has numerous television credits from major networks in the Middle East, has been seen on CNN, and recently appeared on The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore. He has also released 2 feature specials as cinematic experiences and his own primetime TV show. In May of 2014, he was featured on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, Middle East, solidifying his legacy as the biggest name in the stand-up in the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Nimr Abu Nassar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so sorry Aruki killed it. Which slide should I take? Should I take that one? Test, test, 1, 2. Does this work? Is this the mic you guys want me to use? Does anyone? All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Please have a seat if you want to laugh. That's a good thing. I don't know if this is the right mic, though, that I'm supposed to take. Is this all right? I'm going to take it. I don't care. Hello, ma'am. How are you? All right, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me out there, or we need more volume? No, over there. I know you can. I'm standing 5 feet from... More volume? Excuse me, sir? Sound? Thank you. Appreciate it. Is this the mic you want me to be on, by the way? Is this okay? It's fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna give me a second to adjust something on stage to make the mic cord longer so I can reach you guys and we can make this show more interactive. Give me a second. No, it turned out it was just a short cord. All right, let's, if everybody could have a seat. All right, let's start out with a round of applause just so I can figure out who's in the crowd tonight. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean applaud for me. I meant I wanted to ask for a round of applause from everybody who's Lebanese. If you're Lebanese, make some noise. Do we have anybody who's Lebanese? Got a few people? All right, do we have anybody who's... I want only Lebanese American to make some noise. If you're Lebanese American. All right, and finally, American. Do we have Americans in the house? Make some noise. If you're American. No, American. What's your name? Grace? Grace, what's your last name? Habib. Grace Habib. Liz Habib. Oh, so you're American. You married a Lebanese guy? Oh, you're Lebanese. But that's what I meant. I meant American. No, you're Lebanese American. You can't be American. Once you're Lebanese, if you eat the tabbouleh, it's forever. It's never going to change. You can't give it up. You can't give it up. All right, before I start, thank you everybody for sitting down. For those who didn't, it's fine. I'm trying my best. If you guys could sit down, please. First, before I begin, I'd like to thank the LDE for having me. This is actually a very big honor. So thank you very much for having me. I'd also like to thank His Excellency, Mr. Gibran Bassil. Thank you for being here. Of course, I'd also like to thank the Unsul, Mr. Johnny Habib as well. Thank you very much. Brahim, is it your birthday? Whose birthday was it that we... Oh, happy birthday. It's my birthday on Tuesday, sir. So we share a Libra sign. Marcel, let's give a round of applause also for Mr. Marcel Ghanem, a very good friend of mine. Very, thank you. He's been a big supporter of mine for many years, so I really appreciate you, Marcel. Thank you very much. And I look around, I see a lot of people that I've met in America as I've been traveling, doing comedy. So thank you all also for the kind words that you said and for your support for helping me get here. I actually have something very cool I want to share with all of you, which I'm going to do towards the end of the show. But we're going to kick it off with a bit of comedy. So let's start off right now by trying to gauge some of our crowd so we can hopefully get most of the people to sit down in a bit. Mr. Pierre Schlela, how are you from Cleveland as well? Thank you for coming out. Do we have anyone from Michigan? Make some noise, Michigan. Fantastic. How many people have been to Michigan? Sir, have you seen the Arabs in Michigan? Aren't they the most Arab people in America? So for those of you who are wondering how Arab Michigan is, there's a strip club in Michigan. I'm not making this up. There's a strip club in Michigan, and in Arabic, on the strip club's window in neon lights, it says halal. So if you ever want to go, I didn't make this up. This is true. This is true because, maybe you want to go to the strip club and you don't want to go to hell, so it's very important. So Michigan is a wonderful place. We have people from Boston here tonight as well. Boston, make some noise. Boston is a very, very wonderful city if you like to not feel anything in your lower body because it's freezing all the time. But it's a lot of fun. And we have people from Cleveland here. Do we have anyone from Cleveland make some noise? Cleveland, congratulations. Congratulations. You guys helped elect Donald Trump. So we got a great show. We got a great show today. We're going to have a lot of fun. So obviously my name's Nimmer. For those of you who don't know, I'm a stand-up comedian. This is what I do. Can you hear me, sir? Do you want more volume or do you want to eat? I don't know. You want more? Is it better like this? I put my mouth closer to the thing. Any closer and I'm going to be swallowing this microphone. It's not going to be good. So I'll keep it like this. California. I'm sorry. How many California people do we have? All right. My own state, and I forgot it. I grew up in San Diego, and I live in Los Angeles now, and Lebanon. I live between the two. Yeah. No, you can't, look, for anybody here who's Lebanese, if you've lived in Lebanon, if you've bought from the duty-free in Lebanon, it's over. You're Lebanese for life. You're Lebanese for life. There's no letting it go. All of you here speak some form of Arabic, right? All of you here speak some form of Arabic. It's a very unique culture, the Lebanese culture, because it's one of the few cultures that no matter how many generations leave the country, they still cling to the culture. I go to Michigan, I go to California, I go to Cleveland. I went to Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee. There were Lebanese people in Nashville, Tennessee. There's a place in Nashville called Lebanon. Lebanon, Tennessee. No Lebanese live in Lebanon, Tennessee. All the Lebanese live in Nashville. They don't, it's still not good enough. I went on a radio show in Nashville with an American guy to promote my show. This is what it means to be Lebanese. The guy asked me, he said, I want to ask you a question. I said, okay. He said, you say you're Lebanese. I said, yes, I am. He said, how can you be Lebanese if you're a man? See, I didn't realize it, but he thought I was saying lesbian. He didn't know that Lebanese. He thought it was lesbian. So what did I do? This is how you know that I'm truly Lebanese. What did I do? I told him, oh, I had sex reassignment surgery. I didn't correct him. I told him, yes, I am a lesbian, and I think you should apologize to all the Lebanese people right now who are tuning in because this is going to offend them. And he said, no, we love everybody in the LGBTQ community. And this is how great Lebanese people are. As the show progressed, Lebanese people called in the radio show. And instead of correcting me or saying, no, it's a joke, they actually told him, I would just like to let you know I'm Lebanese and I love women too. Just these Lebanese people calling for the whole thing. It was phenomenal. I'm telling you, Lebanon is a great country. Lebanon is the greatest country in the world, and I'm gonna by the end of the show today, you'll understand why I think that. I think a lot of you agree. First of all, Lebanon's the only country right now. It's the most stable country in the Middle East. Right now, it's the most stable country in the Middle East. That's how you know the Middle East is going through hell, when Lebanon is the most stable country in the Middle East. When people in the Middle East are like, I need to go to Lebanon, relax. This is too much. This is too much here. We're also one of the most stable countries in Europe, apparently, where it's going to hell. Lebanon is a very incredible country because it's one of the few countries that is literally has everything against it at all times. For those of you who haven't lived there, I moved back in 1993. My dad brought me to San Diego when I was a child. And then when I was 11 years old, he said, we need to go back to Beirut where it's safe. And I was like, okay. I didn't know much about Lebanon. I get to Lebanon in 1993, and it was a bit interesting. It was just after the Civil War, right? So it was a weird place to be. This is a true story. I'm going to tell you, and this mirrors my experience in Lebanon. I get to Lebanon in 1993. My dad tells me Lebanon is the most beautiful country in the world. We get to the airport. We walk out of the airport. It was the scariest thing I ever saw in my life. I'm an American kid at this point in time. I'm not Lebanese yet. So I walk out of the airport, and I'm like, oh my God, we're finally in Lebanon. This is going to be the greatest thing. Like, oh my God, it's going to be the greatest thing. Like, I walked out, and it was just terror. It was, for a kid, it was terrifying. But my father was smiling. My father was so happy to be in the country. I remember we were driving, and we hit a Jura. That was my first Jura, was in 1993. The first of many. We hit a Jura, and I got afraid, and my father laughed, and he said, Libnan. He was happy to be back. And he told me, he's like, America ma andak Jura. He told me, he said in the US, he falls asleep when he drives because the roads are so smooth. And he said, Lebanon, they keep the Jura to keep you awake, to make you, because they love you. That was my father. Great man. Great man. I'm going to talk about him more in the evening. But take a look at America right now. Take a look at America. America is way worse than Lebanon. Go to Lebanon in the summer. It was nothing but partying and having a great time. America right now is very angry. Very angry. And it's weird to see America angry because America isn't good with anger. They don't take anger well. They don't know how to vocalize it. In Lebanon, we're angry all the time. So it's the way of life. It's the way of life. If in Lebanon people are happy, it's very strange. They don't know how to deal with it. In America, they tweet. They don't hit each other. So it bottles up. In Lebanon, we have a war. We get it out of our system. We're good. And we move on. We put it behind us. Then we do the three, Habib, Habib, and then it's done. It's settled. Everything's good. It's very okay. Right? And in America, it's crazy what's going on in America right now. They have so much inaccurate information. Go and ask 2 American people right now, why did Donald Trump win? You'll get 2 different answers. But every Arab in this room, every Arab knew that Donald Trump was going to win. We knew from the beginning because we're all political analysts of the highest degree. So we all knew he was going to win. And when he won, all of us were like, we always knew. And America has so much misinformation, they don't know that the majority of Muslims in America voted for Donald Trump. They think they didn't. If you remember in the second presidential debate, a Muslim woman, she was veiled, she stood up and she asked a question to Hillary and to Donald. And she said, and underneath her name, it said undecided. And I'll never forget it. All of America lost its mind. They're like, how could she be undecided? How could a Muslim person vote for Donald Trump? Of course Muslims voted for Donald Trump, especially Muslims in America. Muslims in America are sick and tired of their relatives visiting from overseas. And here is an opportunity. Finally. We wanted you to come, but the orange man won. We are so sorry. All of America, they're like, he's not our president. The Muslims are like, he's ours. Come, habibi, ta. It's so crazy right now. And America's losing its sense of humor. So this is what's so weird about America right now. They're losing their sense of humor. Something I learned in Lebanon from 93 until 2014. I went through all the wars. I went through all the difficult times. Sense of humor, joking, is why we are still here. It's easy to joke when times are good. But when times are bad, that's when you need the jokes. We fought ISIS and won with jokes. That's how we won. ISIS is not in Lebanon. If you've ever been to Lebanon, for those of you who haven't been to Lebanon, who've been in America, I need to explain to you that ISIS isn't the paramilitary tactical force that you've heard about. They fight in flip-flops. I don't know if you realize this, but you lose a very important military tactical advantage if you fight in flip-flops, the element of surprise. Because if you're approaching the enemy, just stop. If you're all... It's difficult to surprise the enemy. And our army not only defeated ISIS more than once, they even took the time to put a flag for Spain. This is how great the Lebanese army is. During the killing of ISIS, they heard about Spain and they're like, Lazaru, and they got a flag and they put it and they're like, ha ha, khidu. They had the time of their lives. They had the time of their lives. But that's the thing. ISIS isn't a problem. If America wanted to defeat ISIS, it'd take 20 minutes, flip-flops once again, not a problem. The issue is, how do you fight the ideology, the hate? And you do that with jokes. Now, for those of you who weren't in Lebanon, I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened in Lebanon that defines how powerful humor can be. The day before the first Paris attacks, 3 ISIS suicide bombers blew themselves up in Lebanon, killed 56 Lebanese people. Right? Now, before you guys maybe think that was a bad thing, it ended up, once again, turning into something very funny for the Lebanese. Not that they died, but what we did with it. The next day, after the bombings, we didn't close the country down. We didn't declare a day of mourning. We went to work. We acted like nothing happened. And they opened up shop where the bombings happened. They were opening up the stores. And the next day, a TV crew goes from the BBC, and they go to the street where the bombings happened. And there was this guy in a fanella, a wife beater, but fanella sounds much nicer. And he's sitting, sweeping up his storefront from the glass. And the reporter walks up to him. She's like, excuse me, sir, could you describe your emotions? What are you feeling right now? And he takes a step back and he points at the highway. And he goes, there is still traffic in this piece of shit country. Come back, we have many more. Now, some of you are confused. And I understand, you're like, what was he thinking? Imagine for a second, ma'am, you look very confused. Imagine that you're ISIS. Actually, wait, that sounds wrong. Sorry, don't imagine. Sounds like I'm recruiting. This is, victory will be ours very soon, my child. No, imagine ISIS. The next day, they turn on the TV, they expect to see a nation defeated. And the first thing they see is a guy, where the bombings happened, telling jokes, taking a step back, saying, come back, my uncle could have done a better job. If you are ISIS, you're going to be like, what do we have to do just to give these people one bad day? Jesus Christ. Well, you wouldn't say Jesus Christ, but you get my point. Like, what? It's the same sentiment. And that wasn't even the funniest part of it. We found out like 4 days later that there were 5 suicide bombers. Not 3. But 2 of them were standing too close to their friends. So they died. I'm sorry if that's not the funniest thing. You had one job, literally, and you died. That's a classic example of why when you want something done right, you send a woman to do the job. Because if those were 5 female suicide bombers, each and every one of those bombs would have gone off perfectly. 5 women, it would have been perfect. It's like, okay, are we going to do this? You ready? We're go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, can't believe she wore that on the day she's going to die. I hope you die twice. I told you, okay, I'm out. Every bomb, because it was 5 guys. Okay, are you ready? We're going to do it. Okay, let's go. Okay, wait, we forgot the secret handshake. And then everybody's gone. Jokes, man. It's very important. I remember when in the last campaign when Hillary Clinton had her slogan, "Love trumps hate." That was the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. Because as a Lebanese person, we understand that love never wins over hate. The Syrian civil war didn't happen because of excessive hugging. There's not a, do you understand what I'm saying? Like nobody ever comes up to you with a gun and they're like, I'm going to kill you. And you're like, if you just open your heart right now and you feel, just let the love. Hate trumps hate. I learned that when I came in 93. I came in 1993, and I didn't know anything about the country, and I'm Christian, and I'm telling you this because it's part of the story. It's very important. So I come in. I live in a place called Adma, and there's a place in Lebanon. It's called Adma. That's where we live. Adma. My dad bought the house in '82. Faratat al-lira. He paid it off. He had a house. He's very happy. That's why we live in Adma. That's the full story. He says it's the best investment he ever made. Lebanese people, our currency fell apart, and they were like, this is excellent, and they bought stuff. So that's how it happened. So I come in 1993. My parents put me in a school called Munsif National School. Munsif. It's next to Jbeil, and it's in a Christian area. It's not a Christian school, but it's in a Christian area, and it's an American system school. That's why they put me there, because I didn't speak anything but English. And I was from San Diego, so I didn't really speak English either. So I just had like, oh my God, lives there, and that was my vocabulary. So we go to Munsif National School, Christian area. This is right after the Lebanese Civil War, so it's very segregated. The first day there, I become best friends with a kid called Hamoudi. So he's Christian too. And I did a show in Atlanta, and there was a Lebanese woman sitting in the front. I'm like, so he's Christian too? And then she's like, no, Hamoudi is not. And I'm like, woman, it's a comedy show. We're making jokes. Hamoudi obviously is a form of endearment for the name Muhammad. I became friends with Hamoudi for no other reason. It had nothing to do with religion. It had nothing to do with anything. I'm American. They don't teach you about racism and hatred in America until you're like 15, 16. So I was, when you're 16, they're like, ding, 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 and he's a sand nigger, ding, 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 and then you learn the hatred. So I didn't know. I became best friends with Hamoudi for one reason. We were the same height. It was that simple. And I was and as a guy, all you need to be best friends with somebody is something in common. You're like, oh my God, you have chest hair too, oh my God, and then you're best friends. It's that easy. And when I was 11, I'm tall now. When I was 11, I was about this tall. When I was 10, I was normal, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up the next day, and I looked down, and everything looked small, and my mom walked into the room. She's like, Yadra! And I knew that something was wrong. I had grown from here to here. I was a huge kid. Hamoudi was my same height. He was literally the first person I saw at the school, was Hamoudi. But as soon as me and Hamoudi became friends, people started bullying me, and I had no idea why. So I remember a few weeks of this bullying was happening. Teachers were the worst. They'd kick us out of class. It was weird. I had no idea why. I go back home one day, and I tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, I'm getting bullied at school because I'm friends with this kid. And my dad's like, what's his name? Because if you're Lebanese, you ask, what's the name? And then what's the last name? And then you're like, oh, his mother is a whore. Like, all the family story. So immediately, so my dad's like, what's his name? And I'm like, Hamoudi. And he didn't even have to ask for the last name. He's like, okay, leave the room. I was like, okay. And he's like, and call your mom. So I said, okay, because my dad was doing something which, if for anybody who's, younger here, this is important advice. If you're going to get married, make sure, especially if it's a Lebanese woman, never make a big decision ever without asking your wife if you're allowed to for permission. And I know some men will be like, I don't have to ask. That's very nice. You can feel that way. You can make the big decision, but if you have a Lebanese wife, she will never forget that you made that decision, and she will remind you on the most mundane stuff. It's like, should I get this salad or that salad? You know everything. You want my so trust me. Trust me here, just ask her. My dad, very wise man, he said, call your mom. So I called my mom. My mom walks in, and he asks her. He says, he asked her for permission because my dad wants to tell me why I'm being bullied, which means explaining the Lebanese Civil War, which isn't very easy to do because it's the Lebanese Civil War. I'm sure we could have 16 different versions of the Lebanese Civil War here if we asked some of the older people, right? So, and my dad wanted to tell me, but he wanted to make sure that it was okay because he was going to take away my innocence. Like, if you're going to explain to a kid a civil war like the Lebanese one, you're going to take away his innocence. And my dad couldn't wait. He was very excited because he's a Lebanese father, and nothing makes Lebanese parents happier than taking away all the innocence from a child and robbing them of their childhood and just seeing the moment when it happens. You guys should have been there when my dad told me that actually before that, this is the thing with the Lebanese Civil War. It's hard to explain because it wasn't just like the American Civil War, right? American Civil War, you had two sides, one side won, end of story. In Lebanon, the amount of sign. I mean, it wasn't just Muslim. First, it was Muslim, Christian, and Jew, and then Muslim and Christian, and Christian and Christian, and Muslim, Jew and Jew, and then the Syrians came in, the Palestinians, and then the Israelis came in, and then you had the Russians and the Americans, the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, and then the Chinese came in. We're like, what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, we heard that you had the great hummus. And we're like, yes, we do. And then they had it, and then they went back to China, and they started mass producing it, and then we went to China, we united, we fought them, and then we stole Bruce Lee, and he became Qasim al-Sahed. It's a very complicated. It's complicated. It's not easy. It's not. If you don't know this story, by the way, it's because you've been listening to the fake news media. I'm giving you the truth here. And my dad wanted to tell me. Because my dad, you should have been there when he told me Santa Claus didn't exist. I was 5 years old in San Diego. He was bathing me. And I'm excited. It was right after Christmas. And I was like, Dad, Santa Claus got me this. And Santa Claus got me this. And my dad's like, there is no Santa Claus. I got you everything. I'm like, no, he lives in the North Pole. And he's like, nuh-uh. And he got the receipt. And he showed me on the receipt everything that he bought. And I was so happy. I wasn't sad when I found out that Santa Claus didn't exist because I was a kid. And as a kid, I was like, I know information nobody on the playground knows. And that's very powerful. So I couldn't wait to go back to school. I went to school right after Christmas break. First thing I did, I was like, guys, Santa Claus doesn't exist. And they're like, nuh-uh, he lives in the North Pole. And I'm like, nuh-uh, my dad told me. Which if you remember when you were a kid, when you say my dad, it's like Jesus came from heaven and was like, this is the truth. And you just spread it. Nobody questions it. As soon as I said my dad told me, everybody's like, and just crying. Just all these kids started crying. And then they started telling other kids. And other kids, within 20 minutes, the entire school was kids just crying and just crying. That's when I knew I was Arab. Because I was surrounded by misery, and I had never been happier in my life. I swear to God, I was so happy. I was like, this is the best. I was finding people. I'm like, why aren't you crying? They're like, what's going on? I'm like, come here. Santa Claus doesn't exist. What? Go cry, you little bitch. It was fantastic. So my dad talks to my mom, and my mom actually agrees. She says, you should tell him. He lives in Lebanon, so he has to know. So my dad brings me, and he tells me the whole thing. The Christian, Muslim, Jew, the whole, all the way to China, and the Bruce Lee and the Qasim al-Sahed. The whole story. And I remember after he finished telling me, I told him, okay, so what do I do? And he told me, well, Nimr, first of all, you have to understand that the reason they're bullying you has nothing to do with you. It's because of hate. And there's nothing you can do about it. You have to accept it. It's real, and you have to accept it. It's not right, but you have to accept it. That's why I'll never forget that. He didn't say love trumps hate. He didn't say anything. He said the hate is real. He said you have nothing to do with it. It's possible during the Civil War, some of them lost family members to Muslim people. Some of them didn't. Some of them carry on racial biases. You're a kid. You're not a part of it, but it is what it is. I said, okay, so what do I do? Do I stay friends with Hamoudi? Or do I stop? And my dad said, well, you're an adult now. I've given you the information. You make the decision. So I went to school the next day, and I never talked to Hamoudi again. It was the best decision I ever made. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. Trust me. Of course I talked to Hamoudi. We were the same height. I wasn't going to give that up. It was fantastic. But here's what happened. I went to school the next day, and for the first time, I felt hate. Actual, genuine hate. I hated the fact that I couldn't be friends with a kid because of something I had nothing to do with. I hated the fact that people thought it was okay to make fun of me because of that, and I hated it that the adults were doing it, that the teachers who were supposed to teach me were doing it. I hated it. But instead of just taking that hate and fighting it with love, I decided to do something about it. I accepted that hate. I let it go through me, and I came up with a plan. I said, how can I make people like Hamoudi? How can I bring Christians and Muslims together? So I came up with a plan. We had a basketball team, right? And I figured if I could get my class on my side, we're good. We had a basketball team, and me and Hamoudi are tall. So I showed them, before Hamoudi, without Hamoudi, pre-Islam, we were scoring about 58 points per game. When we brought Hamoudi post-Islam, we're scoring like 85, 90 points per game. Everybody was like, Allahu Akbar, this is amazing. Fantastic. And then in no time, they started to get to know Hamoudi, and he's a really cool kid, and it was done. Because kids, you can flip kids in an hour. Nobody saw Muslim Christian anymore. We solved it. The problem was the teachers. We had one teacher in particular who was leading all this. She would kick me out of class the second I'd go into class. She was a French teacher, so naturally she was an asshole. So we had to, it was difficult to deal with this, but I had to deal with her. I would walk in. She's like, "Inimit into Hamoudi, your friends, go play outside immediately." So I had a book my parents had in the library called 1975, 1976. And it's a picture book of dead people. Some of you might know this book. It's black and white. It's just pictures of dead people who died in 75, 76. It doesn't tell you what religion they are. It doesn't tell you where they died, who they are. Not just dead. Dead in the street, dead in a car, dead in the thing. We went and photocopied, me and my class, photocopied each and every picture in that book. And then we went to school super early, 6 a.m. on a Wednesday. And we put all the pictures up on the wall. We literally wallpapered the wall with pictures of these dead people. She walks in Wednesday morning, 8 a.m., first class. I'll never forget it. She walks in, and she's horrified. There's just pictures of dead people everywhere. And she's like, "What's in French? Qu'est-ce que," whatever French people would say. Qu'est-ce que c'est, whatever they say in these situations. And we all stood up, the entire class, we stood up united, and we said, "This is a physical representation of the inside of your brain. This is the result of what you're doing." And she said, "Remove it immediately." And we said, "We're not going to remove it until you apologize to Hamoudi and give me, like maybe 100 on the last test, because that conjugaison stuff is crazy. We can talk about that later. But she was like, "No, take it down or I'm kicking you out of class." We said, "We're not taking it down." She called the principal, and the principal came. He looks out. He's horrified. He goes, "What's this?" And I told him. I said, "We put these up because every time I come into class, she kicks Hamoudi and me out because I'm friends with him and he's Muslim." And he looks at her, and I thought she would lie. She didn't even lie. She was like, "Bien sûr, il est musulman," like just in the French, like, what else am I going to do? Of course, he's Muslim. The principal, I've never seen his face change color so fast. He told her, "Pack all of your stuff, leave the school, don't you ever set foot here again." He kicked her right out of class that day. Because although that was spectacular, it goes even further. We found out because of that Hamoudi's parents were killed during the war, and the owner of the school, who's Christian, had adopted him, and the principal was his cousin, technically. So it brought the whole school together. And when she got kicked out, none of the other teachers bullied us anymore because they felt terrible, and because they're going to lose their job. So double effect going on right there. And you know why that happened? Because of hate. It had nothing to do with love. The purpose of me telling you that story is the next time you feel hate in your hearts, if you're in Lebanon and you're driving and somebody cuts you off and you get angry, open the window and just let them know how you feel and know that you are making the world a better place just by doing that. I want you to feel confident from now on. If somebody makes you angry, just hit them. I went to Oklahoma and I walked into a bar it was in a very white redneck neighborhood, and they had Fox News on TV. Fox News, big fan of Arabs, by the way. We walk in, and they're doing a hit piece, you might remember this, about how 750 million Arabs are going to come into America next month if you don't elect Donald Trump. And everybody's like, 750 million? I'll go shoot them here with my gun. Like, I walk in, and this guy's screaming at the TV. And my friend taps him on the shoulder. He's like, "Excuse me, sir, do you mind lowering your voice because my friend here is Lebanese?" I'm like, "What are you doing? What are you telling the... He's got a gun. What are you..." He turns around, and he looks at me, and he goes, "You an Arab?" I just nodded. He's like, "You don't look like no damn Arab." So I thought, and I looked at him, and I said the thing that I thought would make the situation so much better. I said, "Very good. My plan is working perfectly." It was, if you saw the fear in his face. We're going to be in tricky situations a lot. There's going to be a lot of tricky situations. But if we stick together, there's nothing we can't get through. Like, as Lebanese people. And there's something Lebanese people who are older should know. The young generation has left behind the biases and the religious divides. There's an organization in America called the Lebanese Collegiate Network of all faiths, just Lebanese people. You're not allowed to discriminate for religion. If you do, you get kicked out of the group. In Lebanon right now, there's people of all faiths working together just to make the country a better place. All we need is your support and occasional guidance. And internet, if you could make that happen, would be fantastic. If you could hook up the internet, that would be, I know it's not in your hands, but I mean, if you could, hopefully that would be really great. The internet would really help. But I mean, in Lebanon right now, there are people marrying. I don't know if you know this. I got recently engaged. And thank you. Notice it's only women clapping, but thank you. Thank you very much. I'm the only one who's happy to be engaged. Everybody's like, khatabit? I'm like, yeah. They're like, lish. And it's like, what? Sarlakshi? So I'm very happy to be engaged. I'm going to be married soon. My fiance is actually here right there as well. Thank you. And she's Muslim, and I'm Christian. And I mean, it's fantastic. And the thing is, when I was in Lebanon, when we announced that we're getting engaged, all our friends came. Everyone was excited. We had a great party. My parents didn't mind. Nobody cared. It was fantastic. It was spectacular. It wasn't until I came to America and I met Arabs in America that I started to realize something's wrong, apparently, because we're different faiths. Nobody in Lebanon cares, because I remember when I looked at her, I didn't think, what's her religion? I thought, what an ass. That was the first thing that I thought was, my goodness. This woman needs to be in my life. And frankly, if you look at a woman and the first thing you think of is what's her religion, you're gay. So it's up to you how you want to go with your life. She's a woman, yes. That's your... Is she a woman? Is it a Muslim man? Yes or no? If it's a man. It's Hamoudi, sir. I was there for him. What can I say? Lebanon's changing, man. There's so much going on. First of all, Lebanon recently passed, and thank you to the president who helped pass this bill. They passed the first ever animals rights bill. There's a law now that you can't abuse animals in Lebanon. And before that, they removed the bill that made it illegal to be gay. So I don't know if that's okay with you, but I mean, they've removed the law to do that as well. It's become a very progressive place. It's still Lebanese at heart. There's still a lot of, if you meet a Maruni person, a Maronite, and then a Rum person, they'll still make jokes about each other. And they're weird, but they're still Lebanese at heart. Do you know what it means to be Lebanese? It means to go to a Lebanese restaurant and to have a Lebanese meal. For everybody who's had Lebanese food here in America, you haven't eaten Lebanese food. You've had food at Lebanese. Watching Americans order Lebanese food is the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. I took a bunch of friends in Los Angeles to a Lebanese restaurant. She calls the waiter over. She's like, "Excuse me, sir, how many grape leaves are in the plate of grape leaves?" I was like, "Why are you asking him how many grape leaves?" She's like, "Because there's 6 of us and it says 8, so I'm wondering if you could get us 6, or maybe we could put them in a box." I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, "That's not how you order Lebanese food." She's like, "How do you order?" I'm like, "First of all, the waiter, you don't talk, he's ceremony. He just comes and says, "Do you want everything?" And you say 2 of everything. That's how it works. You don't actually ask questions. She's like, "But we're only 6. Why would we need 2 of everything?" I'm like, "Because you can't reach over to Dramis to put your bread to eat in the thing. You could start a civil war. Everybody has to have their plates." She's like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, tell me more." I'm like, "Okay, here's what happened. First of all, we start off with the appetizers. We call them the meza. And they're small plates of everything in any imaginative, like, whatever you can imagine in terms of food. Just small plates. And we eat them with bread, because how can I swallow without bread? So you have to have the bread. And you eat with bread, and you eat, and then did you try this? Yes, I have it here. Mine is better. Okay, you have it, and then you try this, and I'm full. No, have more. Okay, but it's too, no, but okay, and you eat, and it's too much. No, have some more here. You're sweating. Take out. Okay, it's too much. I can't. Please stop. Oh my God, no, it's no here. Did you try that? No, okay, but please no, stop. And now it's time for the main course. So here, at this point in time, when people's literally you have paramedics on the way, time for the main course. You bring the main course, and in the main course, you don't remove the meza. You keep the meza on the table. You put the main course on top of the meza. She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because did you try the chicken with the hummus and the olive on the celery?" You have to try. And then you try it. And then you eat the main course, and it's chicken, and it's meat, and it's kafta, and you have, and then, I can't, and okay, but, and then you start, no, khalo, your uncle dies, and you eat more. And then we take our belts off, and the chairs bend backwards, and our stomachs come out, and we eat more, and it's too much, I can't, and please, okay, I can't, Now it's time for dessert. So at this point in time, it's time for dessert. And she's like, "Do they put the dessert on the main course?" I'm like, "No, you move to a different table where the dessert is already waiting for you, because God forbid you take a breath between all the food." You go to the table, and on the dessert, there's fruits, and there's ice cream, and which is important because there has to be ice cream, so you can have the Lebanese uncle who gives his advice and says, let's eat some ice cream to digest the food, which does not make any sense, and there's no way, it's not Tetris. You can't add more food, and blop, 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 and it disappears. You're like, fantastic. That's what being Lebanese means, to have that Lebanese uncle who gives you the worst advice in your life, but with such authority that you follow it. Like when you're about to drink for the first time. The Lebanese uncle is like, do you know how to drink as much as you want and not get drunk? And you're like, how, uncle? And he says, you drink a cup of olive oil. Do you know this? You know, the olive oil sits on the top of your stomach, and the alcohol comes up. It can't get... So you drink the cup of olive oil, and your uncles drink another one, and you drink another, and you just spend the whole night drunk and burping olive oil. That's all you've achieved. And your uncle thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. Raising children here. I'm going to get married soon. I think about it. I'm like, how can I raise my kids here? It's not going to be easy. I'll tell you why. Because everything I'd want to do to raise my kids is going to get me in jail, because there's laws here. See, as Lebanese people, we understand the difference between discipline and child abuse is creativity. Like, we understand this, right? If your father comes home and starts beating you, child abuse. But if your father comes home and waits and makes you wait and doesn't talk to you, and then you think, oh my God, I'm not gonna get beaten tonight, and then you as soon as you get hope, that's when he begins. That's not child abuse. That is creativity. Let me tell you, like, my dad did something to me when I was a young kid I would love to pass on to my child, and I don't know if I can. I was 7, and his friend was drinking an nargile. And I've never seen one, so I walk up to my dad. I go, Daddy, what's the, what is that? My dad said, this is a nargile. It's a hookah. I said, can I smoke? Can I have some of the hookah? And you guys should know that I had asthma as a kid, so it's hard to breathe just by existing as a human being, so I shouldn't even be around smoke. So my dad, who knew I had asthma, said, of course you can have the hookah. And my dad's friend was like, La, Joseph, you can't. And he's like, don't tell me how to raise my child, but in Arabic, you know. And it was... So my dad gave it to me, and I'm like, how do I smoke? He's like, you take a deep breath, and you hold it. I said, okay, Daddy, who loves me and protects me, thank you. So I put the hookah in my mouth, and I took a deep breath. So I'm in an ambulance, right? Like 8 minutes, we're going to fast forward. 7 minutes later, I'm in an ambulance. There's people standing above me with defibrillators going, clear, clear. And my dad's sitting next to me. He goes, you see, smoking can kill you. I can't do that here. It's a disaster. It's tough. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I have to think about it. Because in Lebanon, like, I think, like, how can I raise my kids in America where they have safe spaces? And then take them to the Middle East where there literally is no safe space. How can I make that transition? How can I? Because in Lebanon, I grew up to be self-sufficient. You learn. I went through 9 wars, I think, if I count them properly. 9 different wars. Never picked up a gun in my life. That's something unique about the Lebanese war. When the war happens, you stay home and you just hang out and you play video games, or you party if you're older. And it's like, oh my God, there's a bomb in Beirut, and everybody's like, oh my God, okay, let's go to Bremena. That's pretty much how people get shocked with everything, right? Went through like 9 different wars, but I was never affected. I felt great. I went to San Diego to see my little cousin playing football, soccer. And I asked the guy, the coach, I was late because I'm Lebanese, so I'm keeping up the culture. I was late, so I walked in. I said, what's the score? And the coach jumps out. He's like, excuse me, sir, you're new here? I said, yeah, I'm sorry. He's like, over here, we don't keep score, okay? Over here, we have fun. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Which team is having more fun than the other team is kind of what I'm trying to find out. He got angry. He's like, I don't appreciate you coming in here and making a mockery out of something we take very seriously. I was like, I thought you were joking. Why don't you keep score? And he gets all like cocky and he's like, we don't keep score because scientifically putting pressure on the child from a young age could result in post-traumatic stress disorder. I was like, sir, let me tell you a story about my childhood. When I was 14 years old, I was having hernia surgery once in a hospital in Lebanon, and a plane dropped a bomb outside of the hospital and the windows exploded. Do you know what I got as a result? He's like, oh my God, what? Chocolate pudding. That's basically all we got was chocolate pudding. And my dad was like, stop eating, you're getting heavy, we have to run. It was like, there was nothing. When I was younger, a guy came to my school in Munsif with a Jiffit, a double-barrel shotgun, looking for the principal because the principal the previous day had slapped his daughter. And if you guys are surprised, in Lebanon, not anymore, but back in the day, the teachers could hit the kids. I know some of you think that's bad, but if you have a friend that's a teacher, tell them what I just told you, and they'll be like, how do we get to this land of hopes and dreams and promises? Because it feels very good sometimes as a teacher to whack the kid in the face. He comes into the school with a double-barrel shotgun at 8 in the morning while we're lining up to get into school, looking for the principal. Where is Talal? Where is he? Were we afraid? Did we run? We're like, oh, he's over there. Right over next to, here, come, I'll take you. Come over here. He walks up to the principal, puts the gun to his head, makes him kneel in front of the entire school. He says, if you ever touch my daughter again, I will kill you. Do you understand? He's like, okay, good. Goodbye. And that was the end. He just walked away. It was over. He was a gentleman. He even knew me. He's like, say hi to your father. And he kept going. He was a gentleman. And I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, Tony came in. He brought a gun today. He's like, why? Why did he have a gun? I'm like, because, the principal hit his daughter. And my dad's like, you see, you should never hit a girl. And that was the end of it. There were no safe spaces. No therapist came up to the school and asked us about these things I didn't even know we had until I was 23 called feelings. We didn't have, it just happened. And we took it, man. I went to Lebanon when I first got there. I didn't speak any Arabic or any French. And I had to take a French class. Because in Lebanon, you have to learn English, Arabic, and French. I take a French class. Don't speak any French. With a teacher, her name is Josephine. She wants us to call her Miss Josephine. And Miss Josephine believed that the best way to teach somebody a new language was to speak only that language. And then magically, like the Matrix, we would suddenly understand the language. And because the teachers could hit the kids, I didn't want to not speak French. 2-3 weeks into the class, I forgot her name. So I didn't know how to raise my hand and be like, Miss, comment tu t'appelles? In French, what's your name? I didn't know. So I look around, and a kid raises his hand, and he's like, Miss, j'ai fini. And she comes over, and I'm like, oh, her name's j'ai fini, because Josephine, j'ai fini, they're the same. They're the same thing. J'ai fini means I'm finished, for those of you who don't speak French. We were having like a quiz. I didn't realize. So I raised my hand. I was like, Miss, j'ai fini. And she comes over. I'm like, buongiorno. Questionos, cuatro, cinco, says, whatever you want. Je ne understandais le questionos. And she looks at me. She's like, she walks away. And I'm like, what's wrong with Miss J'ai fini? She's so rude. So I said, maybe her name isn't Miss J'ai fini. I'm going to pay some attention. So another kid raises his hand. He's like, Miss J'ai fini. And she walks over. I'm like, clearly there's a connection. So I raise my hand again. I'm like, Miss J'ai fini? And she comes over. I'm like, Excelentes, est-ce que tu helpez me, s'il vous please? And she just looks at me. She's like, and she walks away. I'm like, what is wrong with Miss J'ai fini? This is ridiculous. So I turn to my friend next to me, a guy. His name was George. We ended up becoming best friends. He's my best friend in the world. And every guy here has that best friend. 23 years, 30 years. He's the best guy you know. He's also the biggest jerk in your life. And this was my friend George. I turn around. I'm like, George, is her name not Miss J'ai fini? He's like, no, it is. It is Miss J'ai fini. You're just saying it wrong. I'm like, I'm saying it wrong. He's like, yes, you have to say Miss J'ai fini. I was like, George, that's the dumbest thing I've heard. Literally, everybody has said Miss J'ai fini. Nobody said it like that. He's like, oh, you see, Nimmer, that's because you're new here. You see, in French, new means nouvelle. And if you just met someone and they have a letter N in their name, you need to put an emphasis on the letter N, which means you're in a formal relationship. Then with time, you can drop the emphasis, thus signifying you are now friends. I was like, what a fascinating culture these French people have. I had no idea. And I felt bad for having disrespected Miss Jeffini. So I decided to make up for the disrespect. So I raised my hand and I was like, Miss Jeffini. I could immediately tell something was very wrong with the situation. Her body language wasn't the respected person body language, but really it was George sitting next to me going, these two things told me something was wrong. He set me right up. She walks right up to me and slaps me through my soul. I had never felt anything like this in my life. Just, and I was like, child abuse. Child abuse. Everybody's looking at me like, what? What's child? I'm like, child abuse. Somebody call 911. Call 911. Call 911 plus 9611, whatever. Just call them. And she looks at me. She's like, sortez de whore, which means get out the door. But I was like, sortez de whore. I don't want to go out with a whore. What kind of punishment? Kind of weird punishment is this? What is wrong with you? It's a true story. You're missing out if you don't go to Lebanon, man, and you don't see these things. I'm telling you. Take your kids, put them through a French class. Give them a Lebanese backpack. You haven't lived until you've carried a Lebanese backpack. It weighs literally more than anyone. How many people here, by round of applause, young people, have had their parents tell them that the best days of your life are your school days? Anybody know that? You've heard that? If the best days of your life are school, kill yourself. Because literally, that's the best day in your life. Shouts on the megaphone, and then Lebanese parents get excited because 95%, they send the kids down. Go get the gas, because that's why, if you're an Arab, 95% of the reason to get kids, it's free employees. That's really why you started with it in the first place. So you send the kid, then the kid gets the gas, then we come up home, and then there's a tube. It's usually on the balcony in the kitchen. There's a tube out of the gas. You connect it to the gas bottle. You wrench it in, right? You wrench it in with adult supervision, okay? So this isn't like we're not crazy, but our parents teach us, okay, you put the saddi, you do this. But here's something the Lebanese do that the Jordanians and the Indians, they're not powerful enough to do. To test if we've hooked up the gas correctly. We get a match. We light a flame of fire. And we put it to the connection. And my mom was like, if it explodes, you didn't do it correctly. I'm like, thank you, Mom. Because we're Lebanese. If we're going to die, it'll be by our own hands. You understand? Very powerful people. It's a great country, man. It's the only country in the world where a police officer will give you a ticket but start out with an apology. Did you know that? The only country in the world. Have you gotten a ticket from a police officer here? It's so weird. They're so formal. Sir, do you know why I stopped you? Because you're racist? I don't know. Because you were doing 95 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone. I told him once. I said, I got confused. I thought it was kilometers. Didn't work. I got stopped by a police officer for crossing the road on foot. I wasn't even in a car in Los Angeles. I crossed the road. It's called jaywalking. I crossed the road. There was a light. But really, do we need a light to tell you when? Because that should be indication enough. If you can't cross the road, if you need a light, once again, kill yourself. Like, there's no natural selection. I cross the road, and I hear a guy shouting from behind me, "Sir, how dare you? Come back here, sir. Not in my town. Not on my watch." I turned around. I was like, "Excuse me?" He was an officer. He's like, "Sir, you were breaking the law, sir. You were breaking the law." I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, "You were jaywalking, sir. You crossed the road before you were indicated to do so." I was like, "There were no cars. That was my indication." And I took it. He's like, "What are you, some kind of comedian?" I was like, "Actually, yes, I am." But here's the bad part. I had my beard out. So he started racially profiling me. He looked me from top to bottom with disgust. He's like, "You don't even look like you're from around here, sir. Where are you from? Jersey?" I got so patriotic. I was like, "No, sir. I'm from Lebanon." He's like, turned out to be Lebanese. He's like, "لحظة معي غرض لأمي بعين المريسي." Because that's what it means to be Lebanese. If you're Lebanese and you meet another Lebanese person, then you take stuff for them back home. You know their family. Dude, I'll be in Lebanon. They'll be like, Nimir, where are you staying in America? I'm like, California. Tarif Maroon? No, how the hell am I going to know Maroon? Just because I'm Lebanese? I'm not Armenian. My grandmother's Armenian, but Armenians are crazy. Every Armenian I know knows every Armenian I know. They all know each other. If you want to know how many Armenians are in the world, find any Armenian on Facebook, then find any other Armenian on Facebook. See how many friends in common they have? That's the Armenians in the world. That's the literal kind of thing. No, I'm Lebanese, which means I drive either a Mercedes or a BMW. And if I'm Christian, I wear a cross over chest hair with an open shirt because I want to frame everything. And if I'm in a car, I have to make the car a shrine for Jesus. Everywhere on the car, there has to be things that go ahead. That's what it means to be Lebanese. That's what it means to be Lebanese. We're self-sufficient. We take care of our own. We do things properly. And here's something you guys might not realize. Before any of you find out, if you take a look around the room, can you really differentiate between who's Muslim or Christian or Jewish or whatever? Like, you can't. Why do we have to know? Do you know what I'm saying? There are Jews actually in Lebanon. Oh, there are no Jews here? I know, there might be. I don't think any Jewish person would be like, there's an Arab conference? Let's go. It's fantastic. This is great. I did a show in Michigan. Who was in the show in Michigan where there was an Israeli person? Do you remember that? I was in the show in Michigan, and as a joke, I said, do we have any Palestinians? And they're like, whoa. I was like, do we have any Israeli? It was a joke. I was like, do we have any Israelis? And they were like, whoa. I was like, okay, we need to go now. This is not gonna happen. I wanted to share something with you guys that I did for Lebanon. I don't know how many of you know this, but I started doing stand-up comedy in Lebanon, and from 2000 to 2014. We started in 2000, 2006. It became a movement, and we used to stamp "No politics, no religion, one love" on our posters. That was right after the Israeli war in Lebanon. And then it spread to Jordan, then Saudi Arabia, then on and on and on. And it was very important to me. When I left in 2014 to come to the U.S., the intention was to spread it further and to help change the image of Lebanese people around the world, and Arabs and Muslims. Because no matter what you say, if somebody says Muslim meaning Arab, that means my brother and sister. If somebody says anything meaning Arab, it's my brother. We have a duty to stand up for all of us. I know some of you might think what I'm saying is naive. And I know some of you might think what I'm saying is stupid. But we've been doing the religious divide thing for more than 50 years. And this might come as a surprise. It hasn't worked. We still don't, if you're Muslim, Christian, or Jewish in Lebanon, we get stuck in the same traffic, we have the same bad internet, and we all hate the government except for Mr. Gibran Basila and the president. We love them everybody together. We share the same problems. So when I left in 2014, I came to America and I said to myself, I want to do something for my country. I'm not supposed to announce this yet, so I'm going to share this with you, and please don't share it if you can on any social networks, or else, because I signed an American contract, they actually mean something, and I'll be killed. Like, it'll be a disaster legally. But this is something I'm very proud of. And I started touring here. I got an amazing team behind me, and things started going really well. So the first thing I wanted to do, I said, how can I help Lebanon's image change? And I figured if I filmed a show in Lebanon, and I filmed the same show wearing the same clothes in Los Angeles, and then I took that show and I made it one. And I would start a joke here, land it in Lebanon, bring it back to LA, and you see American people laughing and Arab people laughing at the same joke. If you see Arab people, Muslims laughing at jokes where they're included in it. If you see Muslims and Christians sitting next to each other and everybody's having a great time, and you see Americans sharing the same thing, that's going to be the best thing to change the image of Lebanese people around the world, that we're all the same. Just using laughter, no preaching, just laughter. And we filmed it. And it did a show in Lebanon for 5,000 people in Biel, and then we did a show in Los Angeles for 2,000 people. And thank you for everybody who showed up and supported, and they were incredibly successful. We filmed them, we put it together, and it was a long shot because I'm an Arab out of nowhere in Hollywood. It doesn't make sense, but I'm very proud to say that on October 7 at 11 p.m., it's a Saturday night, if you'll turn on your TVs, and I'm very proud of this, for the first time on a major American network, there's going to be an hour of Lebanese people without war, without killing, without everything on Showtime in U.S. and Canada. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm also very thankful for support like yours. And this is very important. If it wasn't for the LCN, if it wasn't for people like Rami Haddad, for my fiance, for people who've stood next to me, a lot of them here, Diana Ayub, I see them, or Pierre Shlela, or any of the many people I said hello to in the beginning who were Muslim or Christian, who were Lebanese, who united to help me, we would have never been able to do that. This October 7 is a testament to what we can do if we unite. And I hope that stands for something. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I had such a good time. Thank you once again, Your Excellency. Thank you very much. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you very much. And thank you, Leila, and the Unsul for having me as well. And thank you, LDE. Good night, everybody. Thank you.